This is Everlasting Lucifer, episode 12. We are in Keithiki's uncle's house in Jorhat. Left to himself, Vade scanned the bookshelves. Dictionaries, encyclopedias, old magazines, books in English and Assamese. He studied the script, its angularities and flourishes. Wasn't it almost the same as the Bengali script? He crouched at a lower shelf, then opened the glass door to remove a volume titled Assam and the Assamese Mind. He sat on a cane armchair near the French doors that gave onto the back courtyard and opened the book. In a little while, Tuku came back with a tray. Glasses, whiskey, ice, a soda siphon. Good evening. Hi, Vade said. Shall I make your drink? Thanks, but I'd like to do it, Vade said. He stood up. I'm Vade. The other man smiled and nodded. Tuku. He took Vade's outstretched hand and held it briefly. Are you... Vade realized he didn't really know how to end this sentence. Tuku's eyes, which were fine and dark, gently curving upward, looked into Vade's eyes for a couple of breaths. Vade usually found this kind of moment embarrassing. Maybe his soul was roughly as fragrant as a wheelie bin after a music festival. But Tuku's gaze was neither interrogative nor needy. It was a startlingly direct encounter. I look after the house, and I cook for Dada, Tuku said. Right, Vade said quickly. I should carry on. Dinner will be ready in some time, Tuku said. Can I get you something else? No, nothing, Vade said. When the other man smiled and left, Vade sat down. Joy Mama came back, perhaps having changed his shirt. Vade, so sorry, he said. We are treating you very badly, behaving like people in a restoration comedy, always rushing off stage. He grinned at his own joke, before examining the table, where Vade's drink was. Tuku? Dada, said Tuku, reappearing. Joy Mama said something simultaneously reproachful and encouraging. Vade caught the word snacks. Tuku began to demur, but Joy Mama insisted, and Tuku grinned at Vade and left again. Which book have you taken down? Joy Mama inquired, settling himself into the chair opposite Vade. Is your drink all right? Perfect, Vade said. He turned the book to show its cover. Ha, said the other man. Nogen Hoike's book. So you want to know about the Assamese mind? Well, Vade said. He felt his cheeks burn. Joy Mama examined him. This is lovely whiskey, Vade said. He listened to the hum of the house. It seemed to be the place where Keithiki felt most at home. I don't drink much these days, but I'll keep you company, Joy Mama said. He poured a measure of the Isla malt, drizzled water into it, and then sat, arms folded, regarding Vade. The Assamese mind, he mused. What have you learnt so far? I can't tell, Vade said. It seems to slide around corners before I can encounter it. Joy Mama guffawed and slapped his thigh. Good one, Vade. I don't mean to be rude, said Vade hastily. No offence taken, said the other man. And what does the book say? I know the author a little, but I haven't managed to go through it yet, I think. The whiskey, or perhaps the ineffably encouraging personality of Keithiki's uncle, made Vade feel more charming, and generally like a better quality human being than he had in a while. Well, he began, there's this. The media men beeline to the state to measure the fury of the Red River, to gauge the intensity of the earth tremors, or to carry back whatever inspires the sensational headlines. Some others come just to have the thrills of a sojourn to another world. All of them go back without confronting the Assamese mind. Joy Mama chuckled. I like you, Vade, he said, as though the confession had been wrested from him. You're a student of human nature. Have some more whiskey. Thanks, said Vade. Tuku came back with a plate of fried things. These are all for you, Vade, said Joy Mama. My niece, you know, will kill me if I eat this. Viciously and without compunction, like Lasit Borpokon. She chuckled. Vade smiled. She's very fond of you, he said. Joy Mama's eyes misted. Yes, well, I wouldn't say I've been like a parent to her or anything, but I have somewhat been there to keep an eye on her as she grew up. Her own parents, my sister... Anyway, let's not go into that, Vade. He waved his hand. She's a delightful person, very bright, perhaps too much for a woman. Yes, very wrong, I know, said Joy Mama without repentance. Still, I am old, and therefore I suppose I am entitled to talk rubbish like all the old people I had to put up with when I was young. He reached out, poured himself a little more whiskey, and delicately, despite his big hands, dripped water into it. I wonder, he mused, an ice cube? It is warm, despite the season. I do worry about Ketaki, he said, looking up at Vade. What's to become of a person who lives alone? It's one thing for me, although it's only in recent years that I've been alone. Otherwise, we were all here. My sister, on and off, what with, anyway. And my elder brother was here for a time, our parents before that, cousins. It's only in the last 15 years that I've been alone. He smiled, like a lion with a secret. I must say, though, Vade, living alone is glorious, isn't it? Yes, Vade said, but... Jayantho's eyes were sharp. You miss having a companion? Vade was about to say, I think I want to marry your niece, but luckily, perhaps, the door opened, and Ketaki came in. Aha, she said, look at the two of you. Her uncle smiled at her. Come, Ketu, he said, holding out a hand. Vade beamed, his blood full of whiskey, his heart full of love. Ketaki pulled up a cane stool. So, she said, the good whiskey. Vade, how have you twisted my intractable uncle around your finger? She grinned at him, took a glass from the tray, and put out her hand for the plate of snacks. We've been discussing the Assamese mind, Ketu, said her uncle. Ketaki rolled her eyes. Let me know when you find out about it, she said. Or don't. I grew up outside a lot, you know, Vade, so I have a strange relationship to all this. I feel very Assamese when I'm outside, but alienated when I'm here. Her uncle nodded. Ketaki munched on what seemed to be deep-fried bread. Tuku really knows how to fry things, she observed. The boy is a gem, said Jayantho. There's an amazing story about how he came here, Ketaki said to Vade. As a baby, he was found at the train station in a basket. My other uncle was an official, and the baby was taken to his office. Then he came to this house, and our gardener adopted him. Vade was slightly embarrassed. What if Tuku walked in? Where do you think he had come from? He asked. No one knows, really, said Joy Mama, but perhaps a tea estate. There are many around here. Some misdemeanor of the manager, perhaps. He must be at least part tribal. Beautiful face, don't you think? Vade considered the boy's slightly darker skin, high cheekbones, and the brightness that shone from him. Without even slightly resembling Ketaki, he reminded Vade of Ketaki. But maybe, at the moment, all he could think about was her. Tipsy, he looked experimentally at different objects, an armchair, the bookshelf, the standing lamp, to see if that was in fact the case. Well, maybe the lampshade. Hang on, he heard someone say a little too loudly, and realized it was him, but without being able to stop the second half of the sentence. Is that lampshade made of skin? Ketaki glanced at him, but Joy Mama was indulgent. Yes, Vade, yes, camel skin, he said. My elder brother bought it in Khartoum. Khartoum, said Vade. Or was it Timbuktu? Mused the elder man. Vade gave up. So, he said to Ketaki, you said you grew up outside Assam? She nodded. Boarding school. Oh, so then your parents? It's such a boring story, Vade, Ketaki said. She smiled at Vade, a smile of infinite understanding, sought and accepted, a smile that told him that in the entire world only he knew what she thought and felt. Ah, said Vade, not realizing he'd spoken. He put his glass down on a coaster, imprecisely, smearing the table. Sorry. Joy Mama rose. Leave that here, Vade, don't worry. There's some wine for dinner. No need to give me any sort of look, Ketu, he added over his shoulder. Let's eat. I'm famished. Shall we? Ketaki said. Shall we what? Vade thought as he followed her out of the room. Get married? Move in together? Fuck each other's brains out? Everything was so unclear. He'd had the text from her suggesting he stop over at her uncle's for a night on his way back to Guwahati. That was all. In 2 days he was supposed to leave Assam and go home via Bombay. But he could always change his flight. She hovered upright in the passage, as though waiting for him to remember himself. He bumped into her. Sorry, she said calmly. We're eating in the dining room. I forgot.